Hi, welcome to yet another episode of our series, Friends for a Better World, where we journey with individuals who are out to do good while forging friendships as they do so. You know, Terry Pratchett, a famous author, once said that people think that stories are shaped by people. In fact, it's the other way around. This week, we zoom in on a platform where stories are abound and we track the good that they inspire.
Hi Trisha.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Did you have your breakfast? No. Oh, okay, why?
Most kids would be kicking off their weekend with a leisure activity, but not Krisha Logan.
There are new place came into the backyard.
The 8-year-old is playing catch-up. Just a year ago, Krisha couldn't read or write and could only speak Tamil. She started learning the English language when she was 7 years old.
I sleep very late. I wake up also late. My teacher there helped me to read all the books what I missed it to read. She teach me all that.
What are we going to do with those clippings?
Are we going to do?
Teacher Jaya, as Krisha fondly calls her, has been her patient coach these past months. Though Jaya is more than 300 kilometers away in Singapore. For 45 minutes every week, Krisha feels like she's right next to her in her room. For the 35-year-old, teaching Krisha has been the perfect answer to Jaya's search for volunteer work.
C-O-R-N is corn. A mum has been a massive inspiration to me. So anyone who walks along the way near my house, she brings them to the house, she feeds them. That's very close to her heart. So I've seen all those when I was growing up. And I think that was a big inspiration for me.
Born in India, Jaya has been living in Singapore with her family for the past 8 years. She stumbled upon the Skype storytelling program more than 13 months ago. It was a story on the online platform Our Better World, run by the Singapore International Foundation.
I was very inspired by that because it is something that is quite accessible for everyone. You know, English is something that I really like as a subject, and I love storytelling. And this definitely resonated with what my interests were. So I started following the Right to Learn project. And I contacted them over Facebook and they told me that this is how it happens. They sent me the schedule and then I signed up for it. And I started having 3 children as my students.
Inspiring people through do-good stories in Asia is what Our Better World set out to do. The digital storytelling initiative started in August 2012 and has YouTube and Facebook extensions as well. It's garnered a cumulative reach of over 23 million views over 3 years. Visitors can either donate, volunteer, or simply share stories. Here at the Impact Hub, which houses the largest community of entrepreneurs, creatives, and techies, is where story production begins.
Stories help connect us as people, and they reflect our shared humanity. And stories do help shape us in who we become. So what makes up our Better World community? It's story subjects whom we tell the stories of. It's the good-hearted, busy people whom we want to inspire and have inspired on online space. And as I mentioned, in essence, our Better World, it's about connecting those who need help with those who want to and can help.
Rebecca works with people from the creative industry. Filmmakers and writers unearth stories and then produce a video to be uploaded online. Content distributors like Yahoo and Facebook help Rebecca's team achieve a wider reach.
And I always get asked this question, how do you choose which stories to tell? The story has to be a truly compelling story. Second, the story subject has to be one who is ready to be helped and needs the help. So we don't really help the big non-profits and social enterprise who have a lot of resources, but the ones who are really promising, who are doing real good work. Thirdly, the story needs to give the viewers what we call the online good-hearted busy people, an accessible way to contribute.
To volunteer, just click.
Because there's a lot of non-profits in the world, right? So we don't know where our efforts are going. We don't know where our money is going. Sometimes we don't even see the children. But Our Better World is a platform where they've vetted all the people. So I think that is how they've helped me in choosing the right non-profit initiative for myself.
Non-profit organizations such as Right to Learn in Kuala Lumpur gain in the process. Jans Ganghadaran, formerly an English teacher, founded the centre in 2007. The website ran her story about wanting to banish illiteracy in a neighbourhood in November 2014. It garnered more than 340,000 views and has since led 10 volunteers from 5 countries to a doorstep.
Gram or kg? Gram. One thing Our Better World brought to me, which I think I never even thought about before, is how to use social media to reach out to not only to volunteers but to how it could help our children. For instance, now with this thing that our Better World has exposed about this reading on Skype, it has brought to our doorstep people from different countries with different accents. It's attracted a lot of young people, which is a pleasant surprise, because we always think of young people not engaging with society, and it has been a refreshing interaction with young people who are so giving.
Right to Learn helps children from disadvantaged families across all ethnicities in Malaysia. It has volunteers in a few countries, including Ireland, the United Kingdom, and Malaysia itself.
Today we're going to read The 7 Chinese Sisters. You all like the story, right? Okay.
Often the interaction between teacher and student extends beyond the textbook, building friendships in the process.
We have a volunteer from the UK, and she's been reading with one of our boys. And there's been a rapport now between the two of them. And she's just recently contacted me to ask me if it was okay for her to send a Christmas present for the boy. And I think that's what volunteering is about. A lot of people often do things and they don't realize how much they give until some act like that is done, and then the child is really happy.
Welcome back. Behind me is the office space where most of the stories on Our Better World are produced, right here at the Impact Hub. These stories connect people who do good with those who need their help, and in doing so, create friendships that can cross borders.
Taman Tun Dr. Ismail is a relatively middle-class neighborhood in Kuala Lumpur. But some fall through the cracks and live in long houses such as these. Krisha Logan stays here with a grandmother, parents, and 2 younger siblings. Her mother, Vimala Rajamoni, works as a cook. Her father is a lorry driver. Their joint income is 2,500 ringgit. That's approximately $600. They couldn't afford to send Krisha to preschool. She was still unable to speak, read, nor write in English in primary 1.
Because I send my children to Right to Learn, they can speak English very well. When my children, they go to Right to Learn and then come back here, they can teach me also.
Because Madam Vimala is an unskilled worker with no formal training or higher education, she depends on her 8-year-old daughter to teach her English.
I hope Krisha to continue this learning center because they can learn more about English and they can help his future and can get the nice job and nice salary.
Okay, do you want to read now?
My mother.
Jaya's bond with Krisha also stems from having two young daughters of her own.
My children and them are not much different. But even a 12, 13-year-old girl is still not even in par with my 9-year-old. So I think that was definitely a huge learning for me to say, okay, I need to stick with the schedule. I need to teach them. These are my children. So that made me commit to this long term. So I think that was the kind of learning and eye-opening experience for me through Right to Learn project.
What is your name? Niveda. And how old are you? I'm 8 years old. I like to talk with she. Teacher, can you show your daughters? I say. She said, can you see? Then you must make hard.
Jaya did not stop there. Through Our Better World, she signed up for more volunteer work.
We believe that there are many more Jayas out there who can be inspired as we continue to tell these stories of good. So it's not about guilt-trapping people into doing the good that they need to do, but it has to really come from within. And that's why in selecting the content producers whom we work with, we are also very stringent about that. And it sort of carries through a whole value chain.
Jaya loves to dance, so it's no surprise this story caught her attention. It was a story on a group of volunteers from Get Moving for Charity giving fitness lessons to the elderly above the age of 60 years. It garnered more than 1 million views and was shared more than 8,000 times across Our Better World social media platforms.
Because when I came down the first time, I didn't know anything about Zumba. I just saw how the elders moved. They were much more active. So it made me want to do something for them.
Jaya signed up to volunteer and found the enthusiasm of the elderly participants truly inspiring. But she had 2 hurdles to cross before she could jump in and help. One was to get a trainer certification course for the sport, which she did. And the other was language.
Predominantly, everyone was either Mandarin or Cantonese speaking. So I was quite, I didn't understand them. But they could understand me. So it's like 1, 2. So they were able to follow me.
35-year-old Jacqueline Tan set up Get Moving for Charity in 2012. A regular volunteer with several organizations, Jacqueline wanted to do her bit to promote active aging.
I remember Jaya, she came as a new volunteer, and actually I'm very touched that she actually went on to take on her Zumba instructor course. And also over these past 3 years, I have a team of passionate and really kind volunteers who are willing to fork out their time, their effort, just to be here to bless the seniors without getting anything back in return.
Once the story was out on Our Better World, Jacqueline had to expand her 1 class to 3 classes at 2 other locations. Her volunteer trainers grew from just 1 to 20.
With Our Better World, they are actually bringing our story to the world. During the first week when Our Better World have published our story, I received tremendous messages. It's like, I'll make effort to make sure I will reply each and every one of them. And if there are people from overseas, like from Philippines, from Brunei, from Malaysia, telling me that, hey, you guys, whatever you guys are doing here is awesome. We're going to do the same as you. So it's more like making friends as well around the world.
Our Better World has close to 200,000 members in the community and has produced 125 stories, 70 of which are videos to date. According to SIF, Our Better World is a first in Asia telling Asian stories across borders.
I think for the Asian stories, there is very much the cultural resonance that could connect with audiences in Asia in a very different way. There are, of course, universal values that cut across, but in the environment, in the context of Asia, there are many, many wonderful stories that are yet to be unearthed.
There are many websites out there that encourage online volunteering and donations, but a storytelling platform like Our Better World goes beyond that. Our next story is about how an initial self-interest group managed to garner a 90% increase in its pool of regular volunteers and inspired people to run, so that others who are visually impaired and intellectually challenged can do so too.
About 2 years ago, sometime in January 2014, I was surfing Facebook and all this. I saw something about running hours, so I went in and then I saw this video.
Running Hour is a running club that simply promotes integration of people with special needs through running. And the club is always on the lookout for new runners to guide the visually handicapped and intellectually disabled on their runs. Their story was published on Our Better World in January 2014. The story spurred a 220% jump in the number of people expressing interest to volunteer for the cause.
The video has great impact on myself, so I know how powerful this video can be. So whenever there's new people who inquire about us, first thing we'll ask them, oh, go and watch our video. I'm sure the video will have some impact on them.
Before, Meng Hong ran to lose weight. Running alone, he found it boring at times.
Coming to Running Hour to run with my buddy, it's not so much of me helping him to run or helping her to run, but it's more of coming together and run with a friend, especially for our intellectually challenged. Some of them, their social circle is actually quite small. So it's only here that they get to meet new friends.
Stuart Francis suffers from retinitis pigmentosa, a rare genetic disorder that causes his vision to deteriorate over time. Once an avid marathoner, Stuart stopped running for 8 years as his eyesight worsened. Running with a volunteer guide was new to him. He put his reservations aside and eventually joined Running Hour in April 2014.
It was a particularly difficult time for me. I was starting to struggle with my job and my eyesight was getting worse. So meeting Running Hour at the time was helping me get back on my feet as well. Great friendships. To run well, you need to be very confident in your guide, and the guides at Running Hour are very good at just making you feel comfortable, relaxed, so you can focus on your running and just not worry about everything. We meet socially as well, which is not just about running.
Stuart was born in the United Kingdom and has been working in Singapore as a business consultant for the past 3 years. He's aware that volunteers like Meng Hong signed up for Running Hour through Our Better World. In fact, Running Hour is able to attract not just Singaporeans, but also people from more than 10 countries, such as Switzerland, Japan, Australia, and China.
I actually logged on the website and I watched the video and listened to John explain what Running Hour is all about. It's not about doing things for people, it's about doing things with people so they can then improve in their daily life. The great thing I found about Running Hour in particular, but some of the other groups I've joined in Singapore and through organisations like Our Better World, is there are people out there to help me do that. And if they can help me, they can help anybody else. You know, the world doesn't stop when you stop seeing. It just changes and you just go and manage it in a different way.
From just a self-interest group initiated by volunteers, Running Hour is now a registered cooperative as of May 2014. Today, they have about 400 members in the group. Members will be shareholders of the cooperative and would need to purchase at least one share worth 10 Singapore dollars or about $7 US.
We want to set up a business model to keep ourselves self-sustained. Okay, of course, if we become a charity or interest group, we can always get donation, ask for donation, but we want a system whereby it doesn't depend on one or two person, the chairman or vice chairman, to sustain the whole thing.
The influence of a good story is not limited to just donating or volunteering. Part of the power of compelling stories is also dependent on the readers who just click on the share button.
So I'd like to tell you the story of Charlotte. She actually watched one of our video stories whereby able volunteers ran alongside the visually impaired. She herself doesn't really run very much, so she sent this video to a friend who loves running, and her friend got inspired to volunteer. So sometimes it's in the doing, like Jaya, sometimes it's in the sharing, like Charlotte. Every little action actually matters. And it's all about everyone contributing in a variety of ways that it all adds up.
For myself, I always visit our Better World, looking at news stories, whether is it happening in Singapore or even in Malaysia, Philippines, India. And who knows, maybe another day, another good story will impact my life again.
In an era where we experience information overload on our screens, picking out compelling and inspiring stories can be a challenge.
We have a dream. We have a dream that what we've started here in Singapore would grow to be a global sustainable movement. What would this look like? What we would love to see is stories of good flooding the online space, and people from around the world being inspired to come alongside to contribute in very meaningful ways, and real impact actually translates into many communities in Asia. Come, watch our stories, share our stories, and even get involved with causes that resonate with you, because every single action matters, and it has to be a collective effort, and we welcome you to join us in taking this movement forward.